Breaking news. Big U's son gets unalived out in California. There's all kinds of rumors and speculation that it was payback for Big U, all this old bull crap, but none of that is true. Big U's son, that was the most gangster son he had that was following in his daddy's footsteps. He didn't wake up as soon as his daddy woke up, so he got caught up in the life, and he was out there in an area that Big U wouldn't even go in. And there's even speculation and talk on the internet that him and Big U didn't even get along. So everyone trying to put it on Big U, that's just going to make it worse for his case, because all the people going to do is grab that, spin that, create that, and make that into a new narrative that they're going to try and push as a factual narrative. But sit back, Unique Mecca Audio going to break this all down so you understand what's going on from a people's perspective. All right? Alright, so you know what it is. Unique Mecca Audio, man. We're going to play this. We're going to get into this so y'all understand what's going on, right? We understand that Big U was on the street. He's a big figure, but we know he turned his life around. But this is how your life always wind up haunting you. Your past will forever haunt you. My past will forever haunt me, period, right? Let me tell you before we even begin. All right, because we like to ride. I'm over in the Bronx, right? I go pull up to go see somebody and tell them to come downstairs. I call them 7 minutes before I get there. You tell them I'll be there in 7 minutes. I call back in another 4 minutes, say I'll be there in 4 minutes. So then now when I get 2 minutes away, I call and they said I'll be there in 2 minutes. They said I'm on the way downstairs. So now when I pulled up, I'm parked, right? I just pull up. So I'm parked, I'm in the tinted out windows, and I'm sitting there, I'm waiting for them to come downstairs. I'm looking at these young men on the other side of the street. They making a drug transaction. You know, the passenger window towards the curb is broken out, and that's where they keeping the stash at. And you got crackheads and everything walking up to them, and they're making a sale. And I'm sitting there for 2 minutes, and I'm watching this. So as I'm sitting here watching this, I call the person and tell them I'm downstairs. They don't answer, you know? So now I'm kind of enjoying the show, but I know I'm out of pocket. I'm not supposed to be there. So then now when they get down the car, like 7, 8 minutes later, I'm sitting there and I look up the block. I see all these police cars, but they way up the block. So I said, look, I've been sitting here for 7 minutes and I watched these dudes make about 10 sales. Now, you have me waiting when I called ahead of time to let you know what time precisely I will be here. I called you 3 times. I come and I'm sitting here. Now, you doing that, you put my life and freedom in danger, because if a shootout break out between these dudes with the drugs, now I'm sitting there like a sitting duck. Bop, gunshots. Now, another thing to make it even worse, now if the police roll up on them to go bust them because they made an undercover sale or whatever they doing, and then they see me sitting in the car, they ask me for my ID, and they run my ID, now they see that here it is, I'm an ex-kingpin just coming out of federal prison after 26 years, and I'm sitting on a drug block with young guys under 18 selling drugs, and here goes the kingpin sitting in the car. I don't even know these men, but they're gonna paint the narrative that they were selling my drugs and I was overseeing my drugs while I was there. Now, these young men don't even know me either. But now, if they tell these young men, new generation, hey, we just need you to say it's the old head sitting in the car, that he's the one was supplying you, what do you think they're going to say when he do that? Somebody please put it in the comments and let me know. What do you think they're going to say to the Fed? Say, yo, we're going to let you go. All you got to do is say that he was your supplier. All right. So now when I'm screaming on them, I'm telling them like, yo, and they just acting like they don't understand. They got a million excuses. And I'm like, yo, and I get so frustrated, man. I just pull over and say, man, get out my car. You know, I had to just put them out. Because I hate when somebody try and make something irrational rational. You can't make the truth a fiction. You can't make the truth a lie. You can try and turn the truth into fiction or lie. The key adjective there is try. Let's ride into this Big U joint. All right, that's what we doing, right?
Again, Big U, his son Baby Huey, or Big Huey, right? He was assassinated last night on Halloween out there in LA.
The streets of LA erupted with shock after Big U's son, Jabari Henley, was brutally assassinated on Halloween night. But what followed next took things to another level. Nispey's affiliates wasted no time mocking Big U's loss, setting the stage for an explosive showdown. Apparently, the drama runs deeper than it seems. Stick around, we're diving into the full story. Let's break.
Yo, how could you sit there and mock someone's loss of their child? How heartless and greedy can you be to be chasing clicks by mocking a man that's sitting in prison that lost his son? I know what that's like to lose a loved one when you're sitting in a prison cell and you want all revenge, but you trapped with these four solid steel walls blocking you. And let's not forget the steel wall on the top and the bottom on the floor. I felt like running through the walls like Superman to get to my brother's unalivers. So I can imagine what Big U is going through, regardless if his son didn't see eye to eye with him and they didn't get along. I know that he loves his son in his heart as his son. And you have to remember that at the end of the day, even though Big U was a gangster that reformed his life, he's still human and a father. So no matter what you go through with your family member, you already know when you hear that they passed, now everybody want to go to the funeral and there's nothing bad to say about that person. So I don't think that's cool for people to sit there talking bad about the situation of this man sitting in prison fighting for his life, losing his son. Put that in the comments and let me know how y'all feel about that. Let's get a little personal and emotional right now. Put it in the comments and let's not forget to hit the like button. All right, cause what we doing?
Break it down.
We ride.
A Halloween nightmare in the trenches. On the night when the streets should have been filled with nothing but kids trick-or-treating and neighborhood block parties winding down, the city of Los Angeles, specifically South Central, got hit with news that would send shockwaves through every hood from Crenshaw to Compton and ripple all the way through the entire hip-hop community. We're talking about a tragedy that went way beyond just another casualty in the streets. This was about to expose all the dirt, all the unresolved beef, and all the pain that's been festering in the culture since 2019. The death of Jabari, Baby Henley wasn't just some random shooting. It was about to become ground zero for one of the most toxic digital pylons the game has ever seen.
See, and the way these programs is putting it out, they putting it out like if, you know, Big U is gonna cause havoc on the street. Big U fighting for his life. Please leave Big U out of this. Let the man fight for his life in peace. That's all I ask. Let him fight for his life in peace. I know what that fight is like. And y'all antagonizing it and throwing wood on the fire to give the people's false narratives to run with that'll sound good in front of a jury. Because remember, whenever you're in a court, you have the prosecution who's writing one movie script and you have the defense who's writing another movie script. And it's whoever movie script sells the best and appeals to the 12 jurors for who get the part of the best movie, which is the conviction or the acquittal. Let's ride.
Old wounds would get ripped wide open, and the streets of social media would show no mercy. Right around 11:11 p.m. PDT on Halloween night, October 31st, 2025, LAPD from the 77th Street Division got the call about shots fired at the corner of South Figueroa Street and West 69th Street.
And what's crazy is Big U don't even hang in that area. Big U don't even be in that area, but everybody's gonna say that it had something to do with Big U. I got this from official dudes on the street. This had nothing to do with Big U. His son was his own man, followed in his daddy's footsteps, didn't get out in time, and he wound up putting himself in a bad situation. Not Big U's actions or karma put him in a bad situation. Do we understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? So please stop running with the narrative that this young man got unalive because of Big U's actions. If you don't agree with that, put it in the comments. We need some comments in here to see what's going on, man. Put it in the comments, but let's ride.
What went down there would become one of the most talked about shootings of the whole year. Now, if you know anything about South LA, you know that Vermont-Slauson area. It's been a hot spot forever, where the blocks stay active and the tension between sets has been cooking since way back. The spot where it happened was this little smoke shop called Fig and 69 Smoke Spot, sitting right there in the mix of liquor stores, body shops, and empty lots where the rolling 60s neighborhood Crips have been holding it down for decades. Though word is the shop itself wasn't gang affiliated, it's just in the territory, you feel me? The whole scene went down like something straight out of a movie, except this was real life and real bullets. Witnesses, we talking about two people who were just leaving the shop and a food truck vendor who was out there grinding, all said they saw this dark colored sedan, probably a Toyota Camry or Honda Accord from what they could tell, pull up to the curb. Jabari Henley, standing 6'1" and about 210 pounds, walked up to the whip from the sidewalk and started chopping it up with whoever was inside through the passenger window. What happened next went down in literally seconds, the type of quick work that tells you this wasn't no random stick-up or nothing like that. Before anybody could even process what was happening, the whole block erupted with the sound of gunfire, that unmistakable pop, pop, pop that makes everybody hit the deck.
And I want to talk about, you know, Big U. His son was assassinated last night out there in LA. Absolutely nasty work, man. Again, Big U, his son, Baby Huey, or Big Huey, right? He was assassinated last night on Halloween out there in LA.
Now the details of the incident are
Rest in peace to Big U's son, man.
pretty scary. The shooters led up by the shop entrance, clutching his side while the sedan peeled out northbound on Figueroa, hooked a right on 68th Street, and disappeared into the LA night like smoke. The paramedics and fire department rolled up quick, but sometimes quick ain't quick enough. LAFD Station 46 pulled up at 11:14 p.m. and found Jabari barely clinging to life, doing that agonal breathing where your body's just trying to hold on, and he'd already lost so much blood. They went straight into emergency mode, doing chest compressions and hitting him with epinephrine through the IV, trying everything in the playbook to bring him back. But at 11:28 p.m., just 14 minutes after they arrived, they couldn't find a pulse. Jabari, Baby Wee, Henley was gone, just like that. The coroner's office did the autopsy on November 1st, and the official word came back as case by 2025-004512. Cause of death was multiple gunshot wounds, with the real killers being hemorrhagic shock and his left pulmonary artery getting torn up. The toxicology came back clean. No liquor, no drugs, nothing in his system that would have had him moving sloppy. The official ruling, homicide, straight up. Now, who really was Jabari Baby Wee Henley? That's the question we gotta ask, because to understand why his death sparked what it sparked, you gotta understand the man behind the name. Born March 15th, 1991, in Inglewood. That's LA County for those who don't know. Jabari wasn't out here trying to be famous like his pops, Eugene Big U Henley. He kept a low profile, stayed in his lane, but still had love for the culture. He dropped a few tracks under the name Baby Wee, including a 2019 joint called Hood, with Hood Rich Pablo Juan and Kenny Beats on the boards that pulled in about 150,000 streams on Spotify. The music was real, all about surviving in the trenches and staying loyal to your family. Themes that hit different, now knowing how his story ended. But the rap game was really just a side thing for Jabari. Homies who knew him personally said he was working as a warehouse supervisor at some logistics spot in Compton, taking care of his 10-year-old daughter, and making it clear he wasn't trying to be in the streets like that. They said he stayed out the way. That's hood talk for keeping your head down and not getting caught up in the drama that his family name might have pulled him into. This detail matters because Jabari represented what a lot of young brothers in South LA are striving for, staying connected to where you from while carving out a different path that don't involve gang politics or street beef. People who knew him from around the way spoke highly of his character and how he carried himself.
I mean, it is what it is as far as this is how the streets go, but Baby Huey, I ain't gonna hold you. Solid dude. Like, as young as he was, if you actually met him, he actually seemed way older. Kel was solid, like straight, solid dude. Now some of y'all be, well, he was in the street. He didn't operate like that. He wasn't operating out here like no goofy. Let me just flat out put that out there.
Jabari left behind 3 siblings who were all doing their thing. his brother Dian Henley, who's 28 and starting linebacker for the LA Chargers, posted on the gram November 1st saying, "My heart is shattered. Rest easy, bro. We got the fam." Another brother, Michael Henley, 32, cutting hair in Hawthorne, and his sister Cherish Henley, 30, working as a nurse in Long Beach. The whole family was making moves in different lanes, trying to do better. But here's where this whole situation gets even more heartbreaking, where Jabari's father was when he got the news. Eugene Big U Henley, 58 years old, found out his son had been murdered while he was locked down at the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown LA, where he's been.
Yo, that's the hardest thing in the world. And anybody that been to prison, please put in a comment and correct me or let me know if you know something harder than being called to the chaplain's office for them to announce that you lost a loved one while you're in prison. Put that in the comments. I'm telling you, that was one of the most troubling things I had to deal with. I heard some people died that I was glad died. I mean, but you know, the ones that I cared about, it moved me. And you know what's crazy? Could we ride? You see how desensitized I am from this, where it's like, you know, some people die. I believe they deserve killing. Some people just deserve killing. Some people just don't even deserve to be here. You know? I mean, and that's where my thoughts is at. And I know they're not normal thoughts, and I don't want you to wind up with thoughts like this where you could be so callous to not have any empathy towards someone else's life. But me, if it's not my immediate family, I don't care who dies. I'm just keeping it 100. That's where I'm at. You know what I mean? I don't give a crap who dies as long as it's not my immediate family. And that's the same thing going on now with the SNAP not being funded and all this going on. Nobody cares what anyone else is going through other than where their next meal is coming from, when that SNAP check would be deposited in the bank. Forget who ain't got no food. Forget who homeless. Right now, I need food on my table from this SNAP that I'm not getting. And that's where I'm at with anything in life. If it don't benefit me or my family or my loved ones, I don't care. Let's ride. Because that's what we're doing, right? We like to ride. Who like to ride? Let me know if y'all want to ride, man, so we can do this. All right?
Been sitting without bail since March 2025, when the feds hit him with 43 counts under RICO. The indictment was heavy. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California came with allegations that Big U was running a whole mafia-like operation connected to the Rollin' 60s Crips, talking about extortion, human trafficking, bank fraud, and even ordering a hit on some rapper in Vegas. The way Big U got the news about his son shows you how cold the prison system can be. Around 1:30 a.m. on November 1st, his co-defendant Loose Cannon, who's also a music executive caught up in the same RICO case, got word through a contraband cell phone from somebody on the outside, and he had to tell. Big U during Lights Out and whispered conversation. Cannon later gave interviews to TMZ and Hot New Hip Hop, where he described how Big U took the news. Cannon said Big U just froze. He didn't say much at first, tears streaming, fists clenched. Then he whispered, "Not my boy, not like this," describing the raw grief of a father who couldn't even be there for his son in his final moments.
And that's what I mean by we're still human end of the day. But do y'all believe that when they just put in there, put this in the comments, right? I thought that Loose Cannon and Big U was separated in the prison. And that sounds more logical to me than anything, that they would be separated. So how could he have been there to hear or see the tears or reaction to Big U getting the word of the loss of his son? Put that in the comments, or you think they capping?
Both shattered, man. Heartbroken and devastated doesn't cover it. We'll work through this together, even from in here. God makes no mistakes. It's testing us, but we'll rise, Cannon added, trying to find some meaning in senseless tragedy. As of November 2nd, 2025, the case remains open with no arrests made. LAPD's South Bureau Homicide Division has been working the case hard, pulling 12 different surveillance videos from businesses in the area. They put up a $50,000 reward through the LAPD's citywide crime reward program on November 1st, hoping somebody would come forward with information that could crack the case. But what happened in the hours and days after Jabari's death on social media? That's where this story takes a dark turn that shows you just how toxic the internet can be when grief, conspiracy theories, and unresolved beef all collide in the worst possible way. The internet went crazy with it. Less than 2 hours after the first police scanner report started hitting the internet at 11:45 p.m. on October 31st, something wild started jumping off across every platform you can think of. The story about Jabari Henley getting gunned down didn't just spread through the hood, or even just LA. It went viral globally, and with it came a flood of comments, conspiracy theories, and straight-up disrespect that revealed the absolute worst of internet culture and how the hip-hop community still hasn't healed from losing Nipsey Hussle. What popped off wasn't condolences or calls for justice. Nah, what we saw was something way more sinister. A whole wave of people talking about karma, divine retribution, and basically celebrating a young father's death because of rumors about his pops. Within 90 minutes of those first scanner alerts dropping, the story exploded online and immediately got tied to those 6-year-old conspiracy theories about Big U supposedly having something to do with Nipsey Hussle getting killed on March 31st, 2019.
See, that's what I don't like. You know, how now they want to try and make this narrative of Big U's son, rest in peace again, fit in with Nipsey. Come on, family. We don't do that.
X, that's what we calling Twitter now. The mentions of Big U's son jumped from 2,500 posts at midnight to 15,000 by 6 a.m. on November 1st, with hashtags like Cost Big Henley and Baby Y trending all across LA. The speed this whole thing blew up was crazy, showing how social media has turned tragedy into instant content, speculation into accepted facts, and people's grief into entertainment for the masses. TikTok was flooded with videos, including some graphic footage of the paramedics doing CPR on Jabari that got posted by anonymous accounts and racked up 3.2 million views by noon on November 1st. Instagram Reels from Nipsey Hussle fan pages started reposting clips, mixing mourning for Nipsey with slick accusations against Big U, and the whole thing reached 25 million impressions worldwide. The algorithm was eating it up, serving people a narrative that had been simmering in the culture for years, just waiting for something to set it off again. The disrespect, usually framed as karma coming back around, or Nipsey's spirit getting revenge from the grave, was rooted in these old accusations that have been following Big U since 2019. These theories that Big U allegedly vouched for Eric Holder Jr., the Rollin' 60s member who got convicted in 2022 for killing Nipsey, or that Big U profited off Nipsey's death through his Unique music label, were already proven to be capped during Holder's trial, where Big U's name never even came up in the transcripts. But you know how it goes in the streets and online. Facts don't travel as fast as rumors. And these theories got new life through old clips getting recirculated with fresh energy. A 2021 interview with Charleston White resurfaced on November 1st, and his post pulled in 11,000 likes and 500 reposts. In that clip, Charleston made some wild allegations about what really went down with Nipsey's death and Big U's supposed involvement in the whole situation.
Homie, they killed Nip too. Let's not forget, homie. They killed Nipsey Hussle. Eric Holder was not a lone actor in that. If you go back and follow the details, Nip and Big U got into it. Big U hit Nip Daddy across the head with a bat. His brother had to come out and shoot the gun. Hey, y'all get out. Say, Nip, come on, we finna come beat you. Because I don't want to pay that $20,000.
Loose Cannon's podcast rant from 2025, recorded before he caught his case, got reposted and grabbed 6,000 likes, where he claimed Big U signed Nip to a shady deal, then let the snakes circle. The irony of Cannon, same dude who later had to tell Big U about his son getting murdered. Saying all this wasn't lost on people paying attention, and it was Brick Baby who called out how ridiculous Cannon's whole narrative was when he sat down for an interview later.
All this is nonsense. Me and Big U even had a conversation about it. And I said, man, I'm sorry you're getting dragged into this fake storyline. Not that I have anything to do with it, because I've never interviewed Loose Cannon or anything else like that. But I just as someone I'm cool with, I said, I'm sorry that this is the story that's going out and people are running with it, because I remember every conversation I've ever had with Big U, he's always spoken positively about Nipsey. Every time. Our interview, nothing negative about Nipsey. Personal conversations, nothing negative about Nipsey ever.
Yeah.
Whack 100's Instagram Live from March 2025, where he detailed some supposed physical altercation between Big U and Nipsey back in 2017 that supposedly led to Black Sam getting arrested, generated a viral thread with 50,000 engagements. These weren't new stories. This was old dirt getting dug up, old accusations getting a second life because the algorithm's whole purpose is to feed off conflict and controversy. The specific examples of how people were moving on social media in those first hours after the shooting paint a nasty picture of how grief and speculation can turn toxic real quick. At 12:07 a.m. on November 1st, somebody posted video of the crime scene with the caption, "Retaliation for Big U's alleged Nipsey setup, street war never ends." And that got 19 likes and 5 reposts. By 1:46 a.m., another person posted something more thoughtful about the CPR video, saying, "Comments full of Nipsey's spirit and sins of the father. We've lost compassion, death as entertainment," which got 95 likes. By 6:47 a.m., the energy turned even more disrespectful, with one post saying, "LA let Big U walk after killing your legend Nipsey? Trash City," which got 2,400 likes. At 12:57 p.m., somebody dropped a YouTube link titled "Proof Big U Killed Nipsey and Son's Best Friend" that racked up 417 views in just the first few hours. When you break down the numbers, the scale of this digital mob becomes crystal clear. Out of 8,000 analyzed posts from November 1st to 2, 62% invoked Nipsey using hashtags like #Nipsey Karma, which popped up 4,000 times, while only 28% were neutral condolences and just 10% condemned the mockery. The platforms eventually stepped in to control the most foul content. X suspended 15 accounts for doxing on November 1st, TikTok demonetized 200 videos for showing graphic content, and Instagram flagged 50 reels under their hate speech policies. But what this whole digital circus really reveals is how we as a culture have lost the plot when it comes to grief, justice, and the whole concept of karma. The narrative people were pushing had zero evidence connecting Jabari's death to anything that happened in 2019. It was purely emotional, driven by a community's unhealed trauma over losing Nipsey Hussle. Some folks, still hurting from Nipsey getting taken away, had decided Big U was the villain, and Jabari's tragic murder became, in their minds, some kind of cosmic payback from the universe. But not.
And none of that is true, man. None of that is true. I sat back and listened to all this, man. Big U is having his own fight. Let the man have his fight in peace, man. Let him have, he already have one fight. Now y'all having fighting y'all on social media, these fake narratives that's being put out there. I don't like that. All the way from New York City, I don't like it.
Not everybody was on that energy. People connected to Nipsey's estate tried to distance themselves from the toxicity, with Black Sam posting through Marah Records' Instagram on November 1st, "Pain multiplies pain. Honor Nip with peace, not this." Some voices in the hip-hop world spoke up against what they saw as a disturbing lack of humanity and basic decency. Those who actually knew Big U personally defended him against what they recognized as baseless accusations being weaponized against a grieving father locked in a cell.
I feel like they had whatever differences they had when Nip was alive and they got over that shit. I've been around for a minute, so I don't feel like that even carried on to, you know what I mean? Like, that's a crazy, just imagine you raising this young dude, y'all fall out about some business stuff.
The reality that people keep ignoring is this. Eric Holder Jr., the man who actually got convicted of murdering Nipsey Hussle, got sentenced to 60 years to life in 2022, and Big U's name never came up in the trial, not in call logs, not in witness testimony, not anywhere in the official court transcripts. As one commentator pointed out when discussing these conspiracy theories, if there had been any real evidence of a murder-for-hire scheme involving Big U, you better believe the prosecutors would have brought that evidence to court during Holder's trial.
And the person who killed Nipsey Hussle has been convicted of the murder. Big U's name never came up in the trial.
Not a call log, not a
nothing. Not a nothing. You would think that in a case this serious where you're facing life in prison, if it really was a murder for hire, like people are trying to say it is, which is nonsense, that person would probably come forward. to try to get their time reduced.
This digital storm had real consequences in the streets too. LAPD reported a 22% spike in anonymous tips to Crime Stoppers, with 150 calls between November Burnside 2 mentioning old beefs. The backlash showed a vicious cycle playing out. Grief over Nipsey being weaponized against a completely unrelated tragedy, perpetuating more division in a community that's still trying to heal from 2019. As the investigation into Jabari's murder kept moving forward, this online narrative threatened to overshadow the real mission, getting justice for a young father whose life got cut short in the streets he was trying to stay out of. The real story and what it all means. To really understand the tragedy of Jabari Henley getting killed and the foul response it triggered online, we gotta rewind the tape and examine the real history between Nipsey Hussle and Big U, a relationship that's been twisted by rumors, internet speculation, and social media's tendency to turn complex human connections into oversimplified narratives of good guys versus bad guys. The truth, like it usually is when you dig past the surface, is way more complicated than what Twitter threads and TikTok videos would have you believe. The whole relationship between Ermias Nipsey Hussle Asghedom and Eugene Big U Henley started back in the mid-2000s, when Big U had just gotten out on parole after the California Department of Corrections released him in 2004, and he started putting together peace talks between Crips and Bloods through the Community Intervention Alliance, CIA, he founded in 2005. Nipsey, who was about 20 years old at the time and coming up as a Rollin' 60s affiliate, would show up to these informal meetings in Crenshaw, and Big U saw him as what he called a next-gen leader who could bridge the older generation with the younger cats coming up. In February 2009, Nipsey put pen to paper on a 10-year management deal with Big U's Unique Music label, with terms that included a 10% management fee and 25% publishing share, which was standard for that era, but later got criticized as predatory in 2023 when fans started a petition about it. What followed was a period where they were really locked in together, doing work that benefited both of them and the community. They co-hosted this event in 2010 called Unity in the Community at Leimert Park that brought out 800 people, with Big U mediating truces between the Rollin' 60s and the Hoovers while Nipsey performed. In 2012, they each threw down $5,000 to CIA youth programs, and Nipsey told XXL magazine, "U Bridges' sets saved lives on my block," while Big U said he made the music that backed the message. Their partnership really peaked between 2016 and 2018. The Block by Block series they did hosted panels about gentrification and brought out 4,000 people total. And Big U was giving A&R input on Nipsey's Grammy-nominated album Victory Lap, including helping connect Kendrick Lamar for features. Nipsey showed love by donating $100,000 to CIA in 2018, which showed they were really on the same page about uplifting the community together. But as Nipsey's star kept rising and his business empire started expanding, some tension started brewing beneath the surface. Rumors of beef started floating around in late 2018 when Nipsey wanted to get out of his Unique deal early, citing creative control, and he launched Marathon Clothing on his own in August 2018. Big U still pulled up to the store opening, but he posted something cryptic on X, "Loyalty tests all," and later photos would surface of Eric Holder at that same event with Big U, images that would take on a whole different meaning after Nipsey got killed. When Nipsey got murdered on March 31st, 2019, Big U's response was immediate and visible to everybody. He organized an April 2nd Unity March that pulled 5,000 people with rival gangs calling a truce, and he gave a eulogy at the memorial service where he said, "He was my son in spirit." Big U's CIA handled all the logistics for the memorial, and the joint fundraisers they did raised $200,000 to people who witnessed Big U's grief and saw how he channeled the community's pain into positive action. The later accusations seemed not just baseless, but downright cruel, but the rumors kept spreading and growing like weeds. In July 2020, a viral X thread accused Big U of vouching for Holder, and that post generated 50,000 engagements. Big U tried to address the accusations head-on, going on Vlad TV in August 2020 to state clearly, "I built peace with Nip, didn't break it." But in the age of social media where algorithms reward controversy, denials rarely travel as far as accusations. What's really telling about Big U's attempts to clear his name is how he talked about losing everything in the aftermath of these rumors. When he spoke about the impact, you could hear the pain in his words.
When Nipsey died, right? When Nipsey got killed, we probably had about 375, 400 kids that was in our program. And I had the travel basketball team. We had a contract with Adidas that was worth about $3 million that Kanye West gave us.
Wow.
And then I had like a bunch of other different contracts. And for a nonprofit, we were really thriving. Then Nipsey gets killed. Well, after Nipsey get killed, then the rumor goes out, Big U had something to do. We lost everything.
You lost all those?
And when I tell you everything.
Wow.
Kanye stopped answering the phone. Adidas stopped answering the phone. And I ended up almost going dead broke because we already committed to these teams.
The impact wasn't just about the bag getting cut off. It was about years of peace-building work, community programs, and everything Big U had built since getting out the pen being delegitimized and destroyed. By 2023, X sentiment analysis showed that positive mentions linking Nipsey and Big U dropped from 80% in 2018 down to just 35% in 2023, driven by over 5,000 posts spreading rumors. The damage to Big U's reputation was done, regardless of there being zero evidence to support the accusations. Then March 2025 came around, and Big U's troubles got way worse. He got arrested and hit with 43 federal counts under RICO, with accusations that he was running a whole mafia-like operation tied to the Rolling 60s Crips, involving extortion from businesses, human trafficking through his music label, Unique Music, bank fraud with $1.2 million in COVID-19 relief loans, and orchestrating a 2021 murder of an aspiring rapper in Vegas over a diss track. Big U pleaded not guilty and is representing himself after his attorney withdrew in September 2025, with trial scheduled to start in May 2026. It's against this whole backdrop, a father locked down in federal custody facing the potential of life behind bars, his reputation already destroyed online for a murder he had nothing to do with, that Jabari Henley got killed. The cruelty of the timing can't be overstated. A man already stripped of his freedom, with his name dragged through the mud, now had to grieve losing his son from behind bars, while the internet celebrated what they thought was karma coming full circle. The investigation into Jabari's murder is still ongoing. As of November 2nd, 2025, LAPD has gone through 12 surveillance videos and is waiting on full ballistics and toxicology results expected on November 5th. Two persons of interest from Inglewood, with no direct Rolling 60s ties, got picked up on November 1st and released after their alibis checked out. Forensic DNA found on the sedan's door handle shows a partial match to a Hoover affiliate, pointing to what internal LAPD memos are calling spillover retaliation, but not the kind of retaliation people were talking about on social media. What this whole tragedy ultimately reveals is how the internet has fundamentally changed our relationship with grief, justice, and truth in the culture. The Henley family, already struggling with Big U's incarceration and the RICO fallout that included getting their Hyde Park Homes assets frozen, is coordinating funeral arrangements privately, with a memorial tentatively scheduled for November 8th. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, is that crazy or what? Just so you understand, Big U lost his son. Everyone is attacking him on social media. Everyone is trying to link everything under the sun to fit him in order to get clicks and views. And none of that is cool, none of that is cool, none of that is cool. Again, let me say rest in peace to Big U's son, and my condolences go out to Big U. Put it in the comments how y'all feel about this commentary and the way this went down. I'm gonna do something else on that a little later just to see where, everybody's at. All right, let's ride.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
What?
Fresh out the can of 26, yeah. He back on the strip, getting back in the mix. Yeah. What he mentions a gift. Bruh. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Yeah. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Real. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, make an audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spin a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. Baby horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, Yui got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend a ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours. So we can give back to the